In this video, we'll learn how to make use of CSS and Thymeleaf. So in the old version of our application, our output is plain, generic, very basic. What I'd like to do is actually add some style or add some pizzazz to our output here. So I'd like to apply some CSS. And then for our output, I'd like to have it in italics and set up the color for green. And CSS can help us with this. Using CSS with Thymeleaf templates, you have some options. One is that you can make use of a local CSS file as part of your project, or you could reference remote CSS files. And we'll actually cover both of these options in this video. Here's the development process. So the first thing we'll do is we'll create the CSS file, we'll reference that CSS in our Thymeleaf template, and then we'll apply the CSS style. Okay, step one, creating the CSS file. So Spring Boot will actually look for static resources in the directory source main resources / static. So in this directory, we'll create a subdirectory called CSS, and we'll have this file called demo.css. And this demo CSS is just a very basic CSS file, nothing special. Now this subdirectory here we called CSS, we can actually give it any subdirectory name. So once we're under static, then we can give any custom names that we want or any custom subdirectory. So I could have /CSS, /images, /JS, so on. You can give any custom names that you want as long as it's rooted off of source main resources static. Now in step two, we'll actually reference the CSS in our Thymeleaf template. So our hello world example, we can actually reference that CSS file by using a th:/href. And then I give /CSS /demo.css, and it'll actually reference that given file. Now a couple of things here. Notice this @ symbol. So this will actually reference the context path of your application, basically giving you the application root, allowing you to easily access files using the Thymeleaf template. Now in step three, we'll actually apply the CSS style. So here's our example. Time on the server is, and I give class equals funny. So that's the actual name of the style that's in my demo.css file. And then it'll apply that style and we'll get the appropriate output, right? So our time on the server is, it's in italics and the color is green. So very basic CSS work there, but at least you see how to integrate CSS with Thymeleaf templates. There are other search directories. Spring Boot will search the following directories for static resources, and it's all rooted off of source main resources. So underneath that directory, then Spring Boot will search for metainf /resources, resources, static, and public. And it'll search these directories in a top-down fashion. Now, most commonly on real-time projects, you'll see the actual static resources placed in the directories static or public, but you can make use of any of those directories out there if you'd like. Now to integrate third-party CSS libraries like Bootstrap, one option is that you can make use of local installation. So you can download the Bootstrap files and then you can add those files to your static /CSS directory. So in this example here, we have bootstrap.min.css in our directory. So we can reference that CSS file by going to /CSS /bootstrap.min.css. And that's it. Pretty basic, pretty straightforward. Another option is that you can access the Bootstrap files remotely on the internet. So in this case, you simply give an href to wherever the Bootstrap files are located. So in this example here, we'll access them. That's on the Bootstrap CDN, and then give a reference to the version, CSS, bootstrap.min.css. So that's it. So you have a choice. You can download Bootstrap locally and reference it, or you can make use of Bootstrap that's hosted on the web somewhere.